Hello and welcome to Follow the Money. I'm Raine Musngi. Join us as we explore the tools and insights you need to jumpstart your financial journey. The 13th month pay and bonuses are crucial aspects of financial planning for many Filipinos. As we near the end of the year, understanding how to best utilize these funds is key to improving personal finances. Today on Follow the Money, we are joined by David Angway, a registered financial planner, to guide us on how to make the most of our 13th month pay and other bonuses. David, welcome back on the show.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you so much for being here in person. We appreciate that. Now, 13th month pay isn't guaranteed in all countries. The Philippines has it, along with India as well as Indonesia. In China, they don't have 13th month pay.
Yes.
They have a Lunar New Year bonus. In Japan, they have 13th month pay. It comes in the summer. Plus, they have 14th month pay.
Yes.
Right. So here in the Philippines, in your experience, how is 13th month pay applied?
Well, a lot of Filipinos out there are actually using their 13th month pay to sustain their utilities, their transportation, and at the same time food, also known as the basic necessities. And very few are actually allotting money for savings and investments. That's the main reason why it's a challenge for us Filipinos to create that kind of system within our end.
Has a trend, the behavior of Filipinos on where they allocate these bonuses changed over the years? I mean, 13th month pay is guaranteed, right? It's supposed to be mandatory for every company, except that not everybody has an official employment.
Yes, at least 60% of Filipinos, majority of those people who will be receiving their 13th month pay, according to the survey, will use their money, that extra money per se, to finance their probably holiday gifts. Another thing is through gathering, through socializing, and at the same time through travel. Especially millennials and Gen Zs are expecting this one nowadays. Now, for those people who are not going to be receiving their 13th month, that's going to be a really a hard thing right now because of the employment. But for those people who will be receiving it, it's an extra way for you to push and buy financial freedom along the way.
We've heard a lot of testimonials on how some people receive their 13th month pay in two parts. First in the mid-year, before tuition season.
That's correct.
And then the latter half towards December, between October and December. In your experience, has it this scheduling of giving away 13th month pay, has it changed? Is there a difference between giving it in two parts or in one blow?
Well, I spoke to tons of Filipinos who actually have that kind of setup. And according to them, it's way better compared to getting a huge lump sum. Because whenever that they get this huge lump sum in one blow, they tend to overspend. But when it comes to getting it twice in a year, they can actually prepare even better. Especially during the tuition fee season, they can actually put some cash directly to the kids and all those other necessary items for the school. But again, for those people who are receiving it in twice, I believe it's way more better according to them. But within my end, you need to always plan ahead, or else you might lose everything.
Right. You mentioned that 60% have formal employment. The rest of the 40%, what are they like? What's their profile? Are they casual workers? In which case, what kind of bonus they actually receive?
Well, they're either contractual or casual or project-based, but they might receive a holiday pay, a cash gifts, or incentives. There are certain people out there who are also receiving leave conversion rates for those unused leaves. And like what you mentioned, some people are commission-based somehow, based on their performance. So they can receive that other other pays aside from the 13th month pay.
What are the worst ways to spend your 13th month bonus and other bonuses?
Good question. Online gambling. All right. So I've heard somebody who received his mid-year bonus worth 40,000 and he spent it directly through online gambling. So and the only amount that was actually left was only 2,000 pesos. And majority of those people are really getting into the addiction level. And I spoke to them, so what are their plans and all. So if your community is actually doing all those stuffs as well, then I might recommend you to find another community that can help you get out from that area.
What about loan addiction? Would you say, I feel like there's a lot of people who are just using their bonuses to pay off their credit cards or their loans.
All right, so great question, because here in the Philippines, we are a consumption-driven economy. So we pay, but we usually use our credit cards to fund our lifestyle. And going back to your question, online addiction, online loan addiction, well, that's a very tough situation for those people who are watching right now. But I believe that the best way for you to get out from that is through finding a really good community and asking for a really good support group, like your family members. Like maybe they can go ahead and simply ask for help. If they have the time or money, they can find a professional who can also help them out psychologically.
So as you age, your priorities are different. And because of that, there are different ways in which you can actually allocate and strategize the spread of your 13th month pay and bonus. How would you suggest the 20s, people in their 30s or 40s actually strategize?
Well, for 20s, you can afford to lose money still. All right, but again, that's the main reason why I recommend you to go directly with the high-risk investments. 20%, let's say for example, if you get that 13th month pay, you allocate the 20% to your savings, and then you push 30% into the investments. And then for those people who are into the high interest rates loans, you are in a trap. Probably pay it off ahead of time so that you can get back on track into the investing. And that's the main reason why if you're 20s, you can still take more risk compared to the 30s and the 40s. Maybe you need to go directly with the bonds, balance funds, mutual fund, because it's way more diversified. Unlike if you're 20s, you can go directly with the equities, exchange-traded funds, stock markets, right? So that will be way more official. So I think allocation is really the key. But again, thank you for that question, because as we grow older, our risk type is also changing.
Now, overseas Filipino workers, they may be casually employed, they may be formally employed. What is the main strategy that they should take or use to manage their finances better?
Okay, number one, set boundaries in terms of the expenses. We all know that culturally, we support tons of our family members, and we tend to overspend because we love to give money to them, or probably we love to give gifts. So set boundaries, number one. Number two, make sure that you set aside emergency funds. Majority of our overseas Filipino workers are currently in debt because they tend to overspend while here in the Philippines. That's why I totally encourage them that they need to at least get that 50%, put emergency funds, and then once they created that emergency funds that can help them for about 6 to 12 months, what if, just in case that they cannot go directly to the what do you call this one? It's like, what if their employer cannot actually employ them during that time? That's the main reason why it's like majority of our listeners probably are seafarers or probably domestic helpers. That's the reason why they need to create that emergency funds.
Now, MSMEs. So, I mean, of course, people are just recovering from the pandemic and their budgets are still kind of limited right now. How would you suggest that MSMEs, bosses, entrepreneurs set aside money for their staff, their bonuses, of course, there's also the Christmas parties
Yes.
and all of that. Plus, still be able to set aside some for the business to be able to expand it and emergencies.
So there's always going to be a low season or a peak season when it comes to the businesses. So during the regular season, I truly encourage them to at least set aside 20% of their profit. They call these things profit first strategy, wherein whatever profits that you got this month, then you set aside at least 25% so that on 12 month, which is December, you can actually allocate 13th month pay for all of your staffs.
What should people try to do if they feel pressured to spend during the Christmas season? There are lots of family and social obligations. They need to be present for those people too. And of course, social connections are important for most Filipinos. It keeps them grounded, it keeps them sane. What kind of allocation should they make for those things?
You know what, this is a really good thing about financial planning. So if you usually attend at least 10 parties every December, then might as well try to cut at least half of it, just in case. And that's how you set boundaries. Now, for those people who feels really generous in terms of their relatives, I truly recommend them to help your relatives by building a business, or if you can buy a business, employ them, and that can create cash flows for you instead of you keep on giving them regularly. Because again, it's like we would like to remove the sense of entitlement. Instead, we should empower them.
Right now, supposing I had, let's say, a bonus of 10,000 pesos, 50,000 pesos, 100,000 pesos. What are the best instruments to put your money in at the moment? What would provide the best yield?
Okay. Well, it will go direct with the stocks. Second, mutual funds. If you're good with Forex, if you do have time as well, then you could try that one as well. And real estate, if it's too capital intensive for you, you can go directly with REITs. So there are a lot of ways. According to our data so far, stock market is actually doing pretty good. We're experiencing a bull run, so I believe that it should be part of the things that you need to consider if you do have that kind of bonus. But again, before you invest, you need to investigate and try to probably use insurance as a leverage for you.
Insurance how?
Well, number one, if you start with investing ASAP and you got sick, then you might try to take away that particular investments that you tried immediately. But if you go directly with the insurance first, your safety, building your safety net before you go directly with the high yield investments, I believe that's a really good strategy.
Among your clients and in your experience, what has been the best story or the best example of a person who used their 13th month pay and bonuses wisely? What has been the most successful testimonial?
Number one is, I mentioned this a few years back. It's like one of my clients was actually heavily in debt. So the bonus was actually 250,000 and he owes 250K. So I told him, buy a peace of mind, reduce your stress, pay it off. And then he was able to recover from that, and his mindset, mental health went through the roof at the end of the day. And lastly, it's like buy a peace of mind using your insurance so that you won't be a burden to your family or even a burden to yourself.
For MSMEs, what has been the model MSME in terms of managing the bonuses of their staff and looking after the business moving forward?
Okay, I always tell them to hire an accountant, a reputable accountant, so that it can reduce their stress in terms of managing of all these things. But again, with the right people within your community, this can help you manage majority of your financial stress as well.
Well, David Angway, always a pleasure to have you. We're looking forward to lots of people getting their bonuses in full, hopefully,
yes.
and have a fortuitous holiday season. Thank you so much to our guest, David Angway, registered financial planner, for sharing valuable insights on maximizing 13th month pay and bonuses. In summary, as David pointed out, the key to making the most of your bonuses is to prioritize financial security while balancing personal and family needs. And before we go, we leave you with this thought from Jollibee founder Tony Tan Kaktiong: a well-planned bonus is a step towards long-term financial freedom. And that is it for today's edition of Follow the Money. I'm Raine Musngi. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it here on BNC, the Billionaire News channel, always on top.